All right, and welcome. Today was a Monday, and actually, let me pull up something real quick. I just want to pull up the news calendar real quick, and then we'll get right into it. Because today we didn't have any red folder news, kind of as you can expect. We kind of just had it wasn't a very eventful day, but it was still a day within the markets. Tuesday we don't have any red folder news as well. Wednesday we have meeting minutes, which isn't the actual meeting; it's just meeting minutes, but still will spark some volatility. Still, it's nice to see some red folder news. Thursday we have PMI, and then Friday we have consumer sentiment. So that's what this weekly calendar is looking like. So Monday we didn't really have any red folder news, and this was kind of typical of what you could expect to see on a Monday with no red folder news. I mean, there still was decent action. I still think that this was okay to trade. We're gonna go into how I would have traded this, but I didn't trade today. But it wasn't the worst. As we can see here, we have this new week opening gap, and look at how price comes right into here. And where do we manipulate into on ES? We accumulate overnight in London and Asia. Oh, that's the wrong indicator. We accumulate within Asia and London. Then we come back down to that new week opening gap, and then we manipulate there. And also, where do we manipulate into? Let me pull it up on NQ. On NQ, it's a lot clearer. We manipulate into this 1 hour SIBI or BISI right here. That's where we manipulate into at open, and then price expands and targets all this liquidity that we've been generating. If we just pull up the 5 minute chart, like all of this is generated buy side. That's exactly what we run to. And look how fast price was right at market open. And in terms of trading this, I think it looks a little bit easier on ES to trade overall. Personally, I think that the only really good trades here are maybe if you I don't trade soup model, and I don't like to trade try to pick lows within a market, but keep in mind that you are picking a low within bullish order flow. Like we're clear, like this is bullish order flow. So I do think like yeah, this is a good trade. Taking a trade here for me personally, that's not who I am as a trader. I don't have enough experience for that. So I think that the solid trade here would have been a pullback to this imbalance. Could have entered there. Stop at this low here, or you can put your stop at this low here, expecting this to be a breakaway gap. Or you can do that, targeting these highs here. For me, I would put my stop at this low here, and then I would target these highs here. That's what I would look for, and then I would probably possibly look for these highs over here. That's how I would have potentially traded this, and we end up having I'm pretty sure we have an SMT at these highs. Let me double check here, and then we end up having an SMT at these highs. So that would have made you take off your position here. And now we have an SMT at these highs, which I'm gonna mark in on the charts. So then we have an SMT at these highs, and then we form another overlapping SMT with these highs here after taking liquidity above here. We know that we've been pretty bullish overall. Sorry, let me remove all these. We know that price has been bullish overall. We're in all-time highs. I mean, it's probably not the best to pick a top within this, but once we get that overlapping SMT and then we get displacement lower, I do think short here, institutional order flow entry drill, and then look at where we reprice back to, right back to that new week opening gap. And look at the bodies of the candles; they're respecting this new week opening gap very nicely. And I'm going to keep this new week opening gap up on my chart at least for tomorrow, because tomorrow we don't have any red folder news. So I think that this new week opening gap is going to be useful for at least tomorrow and possibly throughout the rest of the week and upcoming weeks. So I'll definitely have this on my chart because we don't have any red folder news tomorrow. So that's personally what I'll have on my chart. And other than that, I saw it was a Monday with no red folder news, and it's kind of like what you could expect. We have your initial 9:30 setup here, your bread and butter approach, and then this 9:50 macro. I guess you could look at this as a trade. Personally, I don't. I want to try to trade this because we're so close to these highs here. But this could have been a little continuation trade here on the 9:50 macro. Come back to that imbalance. Personally, I wouldn't trade this. And then we kind of accumulate here, and then we push, and then market pushes price lower here, pull back here, to this imbalance here, and then there's not really any clear like PM setup other than that. Like this is just consolidation after a Monday. Like we don't really want to be trading this, or I don't really want to be trading this personally. So that's kind of what ended up happening after that, and then that's pretty much the action that we had today. The action that we had today, we were completed this market maker buy model on the higher time frame, and right now I think that we're waiting. My bias in the upcoming days, I think it's dependent on YM. YM still looks bullish here, and YM still looks like we have unfinished business at these highs here. We pull back to this imbalance here. But if we do look at this chart, we have created some bearish for value gaps here. So we've have some speed on YM here. This doesn't look like, we don't, if we're looking for a fair value gap to get traded back into, you want to see a slower move because we're inducing liquidity into that fair value gap to then counterparty that liquidity, to then having that low resistance liquidity run. Here, this is kind of like a fast move back within that fair value gap, which I don't really love to see. We also do have SMT at the highs here. If you pull up the ES chart with ES and YM, like I showed earlier, we have SMT with these highs here, and now we have some displacement lower. So I'm looking at this like we're in all-time highs, so obviously clearly going to be bullish. Where could we reprice back to? Just this inefficiency. You know, we kind of is that Friday? Oh, Monday this candle is about to close. It's about to close a doji, or whatever you want to call it. So we failed to really displace past this high, and we failed to take this high. Let me pull it up on NQ, because NQ we should at least have taken that high. So I think it might be a little bit easier to delete some of this. So NQ, it looks like we come up and we're just taking highs here, and I now think that the draw on liquidity is likely going to be this low within this fair value gap. And I think that price is going to draw here. But we have been very bullish. So it all depends. Like if we wake up and we're doing something like this to where we've already taken this low, then I'll be bullish. But like if we're within here, I would expect the draw to be here. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. If we look at YM though, YM does have the possibility to come back into these highs here. Do we have SMT with YM on the? Yeah, we have SMT with YM on the daily chart. This is your rejection block here, your last line of defense here, and I just don't like how we're creating bearish for value gaps here. Bearish for value gaps. If we look at this whole area here, this area is all balanced. So price doesn't need to go back to this area at all within here. So where's price going to spool towards or reach for? What likely is to draw on liquidity right now on YM? It's likely this fair value gap here. And that's really where my eyes are going to be. I'm going to look at this fair value gap and then this imbalance here. Those are my eyes on YM. Let's look at NQ and ES. Let's look at NQ and ES on the hourly. It's a little bit different story. We have rebalanced here within this imbalance. We have taken highs here. We have SMT at these highs here. This could be the start of a sell model. I'm not going to lie. We have SMT at highs here, confirming possible smart money reversal. If we start to get displacement lower, draw on liquidities here and then here for me for sure. We also have imbalances that we need to rebalance to. We have this part of this imbalance that we need to rebalance. We also have this gap we need to rebalance. So there are reasons on why pricing is head lower. We have taken all-time highs. Like, yeah, I would still be bullish here. But we do have areas where we can now potentially rebalance because we've created gaps and inefficiencies, and those need to be rebalanced. I want to look at DXY real quick. Let's give like an overall bias of what DXY is at. And DXY, I'm still pushing with the bullish narrative here. Like, I'm not worried about these down close candles because obviously there's going to be down close candles within a bullish move. That's always going to happen. We're now within this order block here, and I would really be looking at this order block here and see, are we going to actually respect this? If we map out this, we are currently holding constant encroachment of this order block. So that's something that you would like to see if you're bullish. And this is kind of like, I need to see this I need to see this get respected. We also are within this imbalance as well. We are sorry we that's that wick. We have this imbalance down here to where price can come all the way down here, but I would expect this order block to hold because we're also within consequent encroachment of that, and that's what I really want to see get respected. If you go up to the daily, scroll down the daily. So we have that consequent encroachment level. Here, I'm gonna mark out that consequent encroachment level just so it's there when we go to the daily. So we have consequent encroachment. Then we go to the daily. We have this daily fair value gap that we have rebalanced to, and we have fulfilled this fair value gap. So that does look kind of bearish to me. That we wanted to fill all of this in, but we have that weekly order block constant encroachment that we are holding. I would like to see bearish. I would like to see bullish displacement out of here if DXY still wants to be bullish. And then this would now be your manipulation fair value gap, and then this could be your inverse that we could hold, and then head higher. So that's DXY. I'm still bullish, but I'm really looking at this constant encroachment. Are we gonna hold this? If we do start to displace lower, I'm expecting this weekly fair value gap to be the draw for sure, and then also this weekly order block right there. So that's really what I'm looking at on DXY, and then I also want to pull up Bitcoin because I've been talking about this recently, and I've been saying this, but Bitcoin was in this market maker buy model that I still think is playing out, and we have had that market structure shift pull back to an imbalance fair value gap, and look how well that got respected. We now have had displacement higher, another entry, and I ultimately think the drawn liquidity will be all-time highs. Like this looks like clear inducement of liquidity. We've been inducing orders to then pull back to this weekly imbalance here, to then have a market structure shift, pull back to imbalance, low risk entry, first stage here, and then now I'm anticipating a second stage of reaccumulation. I want to let's grade this real quick. So from your smart money reversal to your endpoint, your terminus, from 0 to 0.25, you're expecting your lower sell or lower SPY. Then once we get displacement past 50%, we're expecting this to now hold. 0.75 to 1 is when we're expecting that second stage of distribution up to buy side. And if we're looking at this, we're the only bearish PDRAs I see here are this imbalance here that we have kind of closed above. So I want us to close above this and then use this as support. This is where I think we'll get our second stage of distribution. I don't know in terms of like weekly pro. I don't know how Bitcoin works. I never trade crypto. I don't. So I don't know how the news calendar works for that. But I would expect to see if Tuesday there's this actually will show you. Okay, so it's U.S. news. So I would expect to see Tuesday we kind of maybe have a little range day and then create this fair value gap here, and then on Wednesday we rebalance this fair value gap, and then we do something like that. This is really what I'm anticipating. That's what I want to see, and I think that will happen. So on Tuesday we get a candle that looks something like this, where we fail to kind of like take this high, and then Wednesday we come back in within this fair value gap, within this inverse, and then we expand higher. This also could be in line with this mitigation here on the left side. Would that work? Let's see. Maybe if we reprice all the way back to this order block here, that is also a possibility. You have the order block mitigation, now a possible fair value gap here. This would be a very high confidence area that I would expect to hold on Bitcoin, and we'll keep that updated within the next few days. Other than that, I don't really have much else. This is just gonna be a quicker review. I mean, I don't want to have these like 40 minutes every single day. I'm just gonna kind of just say what I'm feeling and what I saw for the day, and that's kind of what I'm gonna start doing consistently.